Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to my Sunday chat. I'm Richard Vobes, and this is the Bold Explorer's opportunity to have a little chinwag with you, the lovely viewers, and bring you up to date on my Sunday chat for the 21st of March 2021, which happens to be my grandson, and I now have two grandsons. My first grandson, George, his birthday. So happy birthday to you, George. Not that he'll watch this, but it's nice to at least acknowledge it. Sadly, of course, we still have the lockdown facilities going on, so I can't go down and actually visit him, but I have sent a card, a present, and I will make a little video to sing happy birthday to him. So why not? Anyway, welcome along. I hope you're all having a good day wherever you are and whatever you're up to. Now, I've got a few thank yous to do and a few things to go through and tell you what's coming up, what's coming off, where we are and all that kind of malarkey. So first of all, couple of books. My lovely audience, they're so generous, they're so kind. Thank you so much for sending all the things that you do. And if for any reason I do forget to thank you, then that's it's very remiss of me, and I do humbly apologise, but just remind me. Also, if you do email me, richard@vobes.com, and I don't reply, and unless you're one of these odd people that occasionally have a rant at me, if you're, it's a genuine thing and I haven't replied, I do get swamped from time to time, and I do try to reply, but if I haven't and you're itching to hear from me, do remind me. It won't be at all rude. It's just sometimes they come up and I leap out and I go and make my videos, I come back and I edit and I think, oh yes, I must reply to that, and then suddenly a day or two's gone past and then I feel ashamed that I haven't replied. So please do remind me. First of all, thank yous to Brian Pollard, who sent me this very interesting book, The Railway Navvies. Now, apparently, and I haven't yet had a chance to get to read it, although I had a sort of sneaky little look, it is quite graphic about the dreadful conditions that some of these old people, when they weren't old when they were doing, but these young people when they were doing back in the day, building different tunnels, the deaths, the lack of health and safety, the conditions, all of that was all done by the human hand, I suppose. This is by Terry Coleman. So if anyone's read it, do let me know what you think, but it does look very interesting. Pick, Shovel and Dynamite, the classic account of the men who built the British railways. It does sound fascinating. I can't wait to get my hands on that to read it. I'm trying to make more time for reading, but time just seems to slip through my fingers, and it's very irritating. I can tell you this. I have so many books that I have got earmarked to read. I finished Mad Jack, which was sent to me by the author, and I have to say that was fantastic. I really enjoyed that, and I'm hoping to go revisit the text, make some notes, and then once the restrictions have come, probably spend a night over in Brightling Way and do a couple of videos about Mad Jack myself and try and, walk around the area, maybe 2 or 3, possibly 3 days, bringing a little mini-series on that. So that's the plan for that. I also want to thank Stuart Chatfields for sending me this curious and fascinating work called The Wandering Herd. Now, this has only just been published by Andrew Margetts, and Stuart went to a lecture, actually, or a talk by him. This is a story, or the story. It's an academic work, so it's quite heavy in places, but it's the story that isn't told very often about the movement of cattle back in the it's the medieval cattle economy of southeast England, circa 450 to 1450, so during the medieval period. Now, interesting why I say that is cattle have been very much part of our lifestyle for a long time. We use all sorts of bits from the cow to improve our lives, and it's a fascinating book. We obviously eat the cow, we use products from the cow, we use the hides from the cow, the leather. They were so important, but everybody thinks when you talk about pastoral and grazing, think about sheep and possibly pigs, and we take cows and cattle and bulls and all of that for granted, and yet they played such an important part in our farming. And as you know, I'm interested in the early farming and then later the medieval farming and how the drove roads were all produced. And of course, it's going to give me a lot more information when I'm out walking, so I can appreciate the landscape a hell of a lot better. And I want to interpret all of that and then put it into bite-sized, easy language so that people can be interested and come away with a nugget of information, which would be great. So thank you very much for those. And thank you, whilst I'm thanking people, thank you for all my patrons who do support me. We couldn't do this without you. I really, really appreciate it. And I do try to work hard. Well, I do work. There's no trying. I do work hard on producing the videos as best I can and trying to keep them out, keep them at the moment going one a day as much as I can. We haven't had the greatest of weather recently, as you know, because of the rain and what have you. We've come through winter. And of course, we've had the restrictions. And what with last year as well, it has been very frustrating. I'm as frustrated as the next person to get out and go further afield, look at different things and not feel that I should be, hibernating at home. I'm so desperate and eager to bring lots of things to you. But so many plans and projects they're either on hold or they've been curtailed. It's just not easy, is it? And I know that other people are thinking, well, we'd all like a holiday, and everything's a bit of a problem. Now, the latest I have on my son and his girlfriend, they are exchanging next week, Wednesday, I think. So they should, in theory, have the keys to be able to move in. So I was cheering, thinking about the new studios that I'm going to put together. And then my son said, yeah, but we're going to have the floor done before we move in. And then we want to do the walls and all the rest of it. And so, it'll be still another couple of weeks, Dad, before we actually move out of the house. I thought, oh, crikey. I'm so, that'll be in the beginning of spring. I'll be out in my van. I want to spend some time in this dull weather, getting the studio sorted out. So it's still one of these, again, frustrating moments. However, I've been thinking about my studio. And originally the idea was, so here's the thing. I live in a 2-up, 2-down terraced house. And I've got the back bedroom. My son's got the master bedroom, which is the biggest room in the house. And I thought initially when they go, I thought if I put the camera in the middle of the house, in the middle of the room, I could film one way and use a studio there and turn the camera around the other way and film the studio there, which is great. Now, for the Vobes show, which is this studio that I'm using now, I call it studio, my back room really, what would have been where people would have gone in for their food, the dining room. And it's a bit cluttered, as anybody who's watched the show would realise. And behind this camera that you're looking at now, I actually have a big television. And the big television is not connected to anything, just to the studio. So it's a monitor, effectively. And when I'm doing the show, it puts the people's comments on when I'm doing live shows. So I can look this way rather than look down at various things or computers and what have you and see comments immediately. And I thought, how would I do this if the camera's in the middle of the room and then the television is immediately in front of that, because I then can't swivel it round? Do I have another camera on the other side of it? How's that all going to work? And then I thought, well, actually, why don't I have one main studio, which would probably be the Vobes show studio, which I could do other things in, and either other sets, because I can then get the lights all permanently set up, and then either another set that I basically wheel on and push to the side, which could be quite easy, could be a lightweight thing. So the desk remains, but we just change the backdrop, and maybe, you could switch different lights on for different effects, or have a pull-down affair that's pulled down. So I'm working on ideas on the best way to do it. So actually having a little extra time to think about it's probably quite good. So that's that. Wanted to thank Dudley, my friend Dudley, and I've left his card stupidly in the other room. He's one of my viewers who watches the Listen with Vobes channel, and we're reading London Belongs to Me. Very kind gentleman. He knocked on my door the other day, stood well back, and he said, I just want to give you this card. I've known Dudley for some time, well, many years actually, and he said, I love, you're entertaining us during this terrible time. Thank you so much. He gave me a card with a lovely little donation inside. So I just wanted to say thank you so much, Dudley, for that. People do all these wonderful kindnesses, and it those sort of things, they really motivate you. They make you pleased to be doing what you do, or what I do. So thank you very much, Dudley, for that. Spring is definitely in the air, and I am eager to get out. Now, you've noticed, hopefully, that I am trying to get out when the weather is nice. There's still some other productions and stuff that I'm doing inside at the moment when the weather is bleak, but I'm trying to keep the photography, when possible, and it's not possible all the time, off the GoPro and on my better cameras, to try and bring you more of the seasonal stuff. And I want to, as much as I can when I'm out and about, is to stop and look and focus on what is growing and understand more of the nature around us. So some of them are going to be walks, but some I think will be a bit more just standing and staring and exploring. So I want to try and sort of do a bit more. But we've definitely got spring in the air, and I'm very excited to see what order everything comes out. I'm sure that once the restrictions are lifted, there'll be many, many more people bursting out into the landscape. Which will be a bit more tricky then, I think, to film. I also want to another thank you here. I want to thank Paul Messis. Now, I don't know if I've pronounced your surname correctly, but he sent me an email regarding the canal video that I've done. I did two recently where I visited Rona Lock on the Way and Arun Canal, and I'm fascinated by canals. I've always been fascinated. I made a long video about an abandoned canal some years ago now that's done great guns, by the way. And we don't really have any proper canals that are actually working and connected to the network down here. That we've got little snatches of canal. But he reminded me that actually there is a lot more to explore, and encouraging me to go further afield. So I want to do more on the canals in Sussex, but also, of course, when we can travel a bit more further afield. Still haven't yet worked out whether I'm going to do a canal trip this year, and probably leaving it a bit late now. But he's reminded me of the Baybridge Canal, the Rother Navigation, the Portsmouth and Arun Canal, and, of course, the Way and Arun Canal. And these are all bits of canals that you can follow. Most of those that I've listed are either just, relics of their former self, and some have been infilled, but you can still see remnants. So it would be nice to go and do a bit more exploring on one of the major engineering works that would have happened in the 19th and the 18th and 19th century. So that looks good. I hope that you've been enjoying my historical look at the early villages and the farming and the way the fields have worked out. I want to do some more of that. But I would like to, if possible, try and do some more of that on location. So watch out for those, really, is what I'm saying there. I also want to thank Roger for his van tour. Now, Roger came down recently and met me in Worthing, and he showed me his VW van. There's a video about it, of course, and he made the other day. And he showed me what can be done if you've got the money to do it professionally. Now, he's going to be a lot more particular than I am, but it's given me lots of inspiration for changes in my van. But one thing I was reminded after the event, actually, and I forgot to say this to Roger, is that the one reason that I chose the van that I've got and the way it's laid out at the moment, although I'm going to make some more comfortable changes, is I do want to be in a position where necessary, on occasions, I can pull out stuff and still use the van as a van, particularly things like runs to the dump, albeit though things would be in very nice heavy-duty bags so nothing leaks out, and also picking up logs. Every now and again, people do offer me logs for my Essie, and I really appreciate that. If anybody's got any spare logs or trees fallen down and they need to get shot of it, do let me know, because I store the logs in the garden, and when they've matured, I can burn them on the Essie. And I know that a couple of people have very much offered me logs, and I don't want to get into the point where the van becomes too precious or too built up that I can't then remove stuff easily, shove some logs in, sweep it all up, and then return it back to my camper van. So to a certain degree, I don't want to overly kit it out. So I just thought I would mention that, really. That's one reason I'd almost got forgotten, because having a van that can in some degree be stripped down so you've got space for moving stuff would be handy. It's like when my son moves, he may say, "Oh, Dad, can you stick stuff in your van?" And I can, but I just have to pull out a load of my boxes, and then I can fit a load of his stuff in there and help move him. So it's quite useful, having that facility. Now, finally, I hope you're still with me. If you're interested, I don't know whether you listen to my In Conversation With podcast. If you're a patron, and you've signed up to the mailing list, you should get a mailing list. You should get an email rather every Sunday, which brings you a 45 to 50-minute podcast, which is in conversation, usually with one of my viewers. And we just have a chat about anything, not necessarily anything to do with the Bald Explorer. It could be any sort of subjects, just a sort of general chit-chat conversation that we have. And if you fancy being one of those, do get in touch. I know a couple of people have been in touch, and I've got a little list of people, but people aren't always available, and when I'm available, and so I still want to just keep that going. But this week, I had a very lovely conversation with Bernie, who is one of my viewers. He runs his own YouTube channel called Station Master's Choice. You can check it out on YouTube. I'll put a link. I'm sure he'll appreciate that. And we were just chatting about life, the universe, and everything as you usually do. So that's something to look forward to later on today. It goes out on Sundays, so it may go out before or just after this gets released. I never quite know when I do it, but usually by 9 o'clock it's out. So there we go. That's my Sunday chat. Thank you so much for watching. Very much appreciate your feedback and your continued support. I do occasionally have a few moans and groans about sometimes we just get people who are a bit negative. I do try to avoid the negativity where possible. I know in my Naked Englishman podcast, sometimes I do moan a bit and get off the track. It's a podcast that I record first thing in the morning. I'm usually not properly awake, and it's not for everybody. I just thought I'd say that because the links go with all my videos, and it's a podcast about my personal feelings on things. It's work in progress, if you like. It's thoughts that I pull out my head. I haven't fully fledged worked them out. I haven't made a list before I record it. And so sometimes people do get a bit upset. They don't understand how to take me. They find me a bit odd in that, because it's not the Bald Explorer, and that's what it isn't. It's me just working out life. It's behind the scenes of the YouTube creator, but it's me just trying to work out life. And all I would say is, if you do find it a bit difficult to handle, just give me the slack and say that's what he's doing first thing in the morning. If it's not for you, don't listen, basically, because sometimes I get a bit tied up in knots and have a rant about this, that, and the other. And to me, it's actually a bit like going to counselling. I get off all my woes and then I'm fine. Anyway, so that's that. And I think we're up to date. I will catch up with you next week, hopefully more news. In the meantime, I'm aiming to get the videos coming out to you. So have a good week. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye for now. Bye-bye.